Okay, so previously we saw three important structures which initiate the movement of food inside our digestive canal, also known as our alimentary canal. Today, let's have a look on another structure known as stomach. So stomach is actually a very flexible pouch, a very flexible sac which function to temporarily store our food. So we temporarily store our food inside this flexible pouch, which has capacity of approximately around 2 liters inside our stomach. So inside the stomach, actually, as soon as our food enters into our stomach, two important processes are initiated inside the stomach. So we also have mechanical digestion taking place, as well as we have chemical digestion taking place inside our stomach. And if we try to analyze the walls of our stomach, we will see that our stomach is made up of millions and millions of exocrine glands. And exocrine gland, what means is these are glands which tend to secrete special chemical substances. And these chemical substances are taken out to different structures through special duct. So we have millions and millions of glands which are present on the wall of our stomach. And we have two types of this exocrine gland present inside our stomach. We have our gastric gland, as well as we have also our pyrolic gland. So, and this pyrolic gland as well as gastric glands are made up of are playing important functions in secretion of several important substances. So we have these walls, the lining of our stomach, which is actually are made up of millions and millions of these exocrine glands, and we have two types of this exocrine gland inside our stomach. Actually, we have our gastric gland, we also have our pyrolic gland. But also inside our stomach, we have several types of cells. We have mainly 4 types of cells which are actually composed inside these glands. So we have our mucus cells, we have our chief cells, we have parietal cells, as well as we have our G cells. These are important 4 types of cells which are present inside the lining of our stomach. So let's see and analyze each one of these cells and their function. So let's have a look. Let's have a look in here. So as I said here earlier, we have this flexible pouch or flexible sac known as the stomach, which acts as a temporary storage of our food. So we said earlier, at the end of our esophagus, we have this sphincter known as our cardiac sphincter. And as the cardiac sphincter opens up, it allows food to enter our stomach. As soon as the stomach our food enter into our stomach, 2 important processes are initiated. So we have mechanical digestion as well as we have chemical digestion. And on the walls, on the lining of our stomach, we have millions and millions of our exocrine gland. And we have 2 types of them. We have our gastric gland, we also have our pyrolic gland. So in this pyrolic gland, as long as our gastric gland are composed of 4 important types of cells. So we have our mucus cell, we have our chief cell, we have parietal cells, we also have our G cell. So let's see each one of these cells and their function. So on the surface, just on the surface of our stomach, we have this our mucus cells. So mucus cells are on top, on the surface of our stomach cells, and mucus cell, it plays a very important role. So let's see what actually the role of our mucus cell. So mucus cells, these are easy to remember. As its name suggests, our mucus cells, they play important role in secretion of fluid-like substance known as mucus. And mucus, it helps in lubrication of our food inside our stomach. So our mucus cell, actually what they does is they secrete this fluid-like substance known as mucus. And mucus play a very important role in a lubrication of food inside our stomach. So while it's inside our stomach, we have this smooth-like movement of food inside our stomach because of this mucus, which lubricates our food. Now, another function of mucus, and perhaps the most important function of mucus, is our mucus. It helps in prevention in preventing the lining of our stomach. As we see in just a moment, inside our stomach we have very low pH. We have very high acidity inside our stomach. Now, to prevent our stomach walls to be degraded because of this acid, we have our mucus. So mucus prevents this lining of our stomach from being degraded by our high acidity or very low pH, which is present inside our stomach. So these are actually mucus cells, as you can see in this diagram, they are present on the surface as well as in upper portion of our stomach wall. So we also have at the bottom of our mucus cell, we have our chief cell. And chief cells are also very easy to remember, as our chief cell, what they are doing is to secrete a chief or principal zymogen known as pepsinogen. So chief cell, what they does is they secrete this chief zymogen or principal zymogen known as pepsinogen. And if the acidity of our stomach is high enough, if we have a very low pH inside our stomach, this pepsinogen, which is released inside our stomach, is then converted into its active form, into its active enzymes known as our pepsin. And pepsin plays a very important role in digestion of our protein into its constituent or amino acid. So that's actually what a function of our chief cells, which are present just below our mucus cell. So on below of our chief cell, we have this another type of cell known as parietal cells. And the parietal cells play a very important role in secretion of our hydrochloric acid. So as we said earlier, that inside our stomach we have very low pH, we have very high acidity, and this high acidity or very low pH of our stomach is caused by hydrochloric acid, which is secreted by our parietal cells. So the main function of our parietal cells is actually to secrete our hydrochloric acid. And hydrochloric acid is very important component of our inside our stomach. What actually it does, this hydrochloric acid, is it plays several important functions. So we have four main functions of our hydrochloric acid. Firstly, hydrochloric acid, it helps to activate our inactive form of pepsinogen into its active form, known as pepsin. So that's its first function. Secondly, our hydrochloric acid, what it does, it breaks down, it causes degradation of our protein into more flexible structure, so that they can easily be digested by our pepsin. So what we are doing actually is within nature, this protein, as this hydrochloric acid is secreted, hydrochloric acid, what it does is it denatures, it breaks down our protein into more simpler complexes, and that as it does that, it helps our pepsin to act on a digestion of our protein. So protein actually present in a very complex form, and our hydrochloric acid, what it does is it breaks down, it causes degradation of that protein into more simpler form, so that it can easily be digested by our pepsin. So at the bottom, at the very bottom of our stomach lining, we have this another type of cell known as G cells. And G cells are also very easy to remember. As the name suggests, G cells, what they actually do is they secrete special types of substance known as our gastrin. So they secrete a special type of peptide hormone known as our gastrin. So as the name suggests, G cells, they secrete this peptide hormone known as gastrin. And what gastrin does is it stimulates our parietal cell to release our hydrochloric acid. So that's actually the main function of our G cells. And not only we have these four types of cell, but we also have additional type of cells which are also present inside our stomach, known as enterochromaffin-like cells. And these enterochromaffin-like cells also, what they does is they secrete a chemical substance known as histamine. And just like our gastrin produced in G cells, this histamine, what they do actually is they stimulate our parietal cell to release our hydrochloric acid. So these are mainly 4 important types of cells which are present inside our stomach. And let's see just a quick summary of each one of them again. So we said we have mucus cell on top of our stomach lining. Here on top of our stomach lining, just on the surface, we have our mucus cell. And as its name suggests, our mucus cells secrete mucus. Mucus plays several important roles. First, it helps in lubrication of our food. So food inside our stomach is lubricated by our mucus. And also, our mucus play a very important role in preventing the lining of our stomach from being degraded. So, as we said, like inside our stomach, we have very low pH. We have this very high acidity inside our stomach, and to prevent this high acidity to actually degrade, to cause the corrosion of our stomach lining, we have this mucus layer, which is present on the lining of our stomach. And the mucus, it prevents this hydrochloric acid to corrode our stomach layers. So on the bottom, just below this mucus layer, we have another type of cells known as Chief cells. And Chief cells, what they do is they release our chief or principal zymogen known as pepsinogen. And if the pH inside our stomach is low enough, if we have very high acidity inside our stomach, our pepsinogen is then converted into its active form known as pepsin. And pepsin plays a very important role in the digestion of our protein into its amino acids. So just below our chief cells, we have this another type of cells known as parietal cells. And the parietal cells play a very important role in the secretion of our hydrochloric acid. And hydrochloric acid, it has several important roles as well. So first, as we saw, it increases the acidity of our stomach. And as it increases the acidity of our stomach, they stimulate our chief cells to actually release our pepsinogen. And if once this pepsinogen is released inside our stomach, if this pH of our acid is low enough, if we have our pH of around 2, then our pepsinogen can be converted into its active form known as our pepsin. So we have this very low pH around 2 inside our stomach, and once this is present, our pepsinogen is converted into its active form known as pepsin. So another important role of our hydrochloric acid is it denatures protein into more simpler form so that our pepsin can cleave its bond. So inside our stomach, we have a very complex form of our protein. And what pepsin does is it breaks down this complex form of our protein into more simpler form so that our pepsin can easily convert it or digest our protein into our respective amino acid. So of course, due to a very high acidity inside our stomach, our hydrochloric acid helps in killing bacteria which might be present inside our food. So in case if there is any bacteria, and of course there must be some bacteria present in our food, all of those bacteria are being killed with our hydrochloric acid, which is produced by our parietal cells. So as we said earlier, we also have G cells. And G cells, what they do, as its name suggests itself, G cell release hormone known as gastrin. And the gastrin, what it does is it stimulates our parietal cell to release hydrochloric acid. And our G cells themselves, they are stimulated by a structure known as acetylcholine. So acetylcholine stimulates our G cells, and G cells produces this hormone known as our gastrin. And gastrin, what it does, consequently, they go and stimulate our parietal cell to release our hydrochloric acid. So we also have this another important type of cell present inside our stomach, known as enterochromaffin-like cells. And these enterochromaffin-like cells, what they do is they help in the secretion of another chemical substance known as histamine. And just like gastrin, which is produced by G cells, this histamine also stimulates our parietal cells to release our hydrochloric acid. So that's a quick review of what actually is taking place inside our stomach. We have mechanical and chemical digestion taking place inside our stomach. As we discussed, we don't have any absorption taking place. We do have absorption of a certain substance, just like a caffeine. We have aspirin being absorbed inside our stomach. We also have our alcohol, which is also absorbed inside our stomach. But we don't have any absorption of food products taking place inside our stomach. So that's all about our stomach. In next video, we see much more detail about our small intestine. So meanwhile, enjoy.